नमस्कार। आज की वीडियो पहले की वीडियो से थोड़ी अलग है क्योंकि आज हम कोई एक पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक को एक्सप्लोर नहीं करने जा रहे। आज जिस वीडियो पे मैं रिएक्ट करने वाला हूँ वो एक सद्गुरु की फुल टॉक की छोटी-सी क्लिप है। कुछ लोगों ने कमेंट्स में बोला था कि रिएक्ट मोर टू Sadhguru. Also, one guy listed out all the videos that I should be reacting to, and this video was one of those. Now, this is a complete 3 hour long video. So I will be reacting to that specific part which was requested. So let's get into it. Uh, all I know is that it is a debate between Sadhguru and a law student. So let's find out what is the debate about.
Thank you, Vasudev sir. Before I ask my question, I just have to tell you that I was very impressed by your e-commerce website, which sells yoga merchandise. I think it's really cool. It's better than Flipkart and Amazon, and I hope that in a few years' time, it will become the biggest e-commerce company, and it could be.
No.
Yeah.
It's a conscious decision I have taken that our commerce part is done just to take care of a few things. Our commerce will never grow beyond the foundation part. I clearly made the distinction, there's Isha Foundation and there's Isha Business, and we have contained the business. In spite of enormous demand, we have contained the business because…
So it's very impressive, sir.
No, you should not be impressed by that. You must come and see what I do otherwise.
Yeah. So,
The real thing.
My question, I want to tell you that I was also very impressed by your commitment to rule of law that was evident from the discussions that we've had. In the same light, I just want to ask you that in one of the blogs that you have written in your website, you speak about women's entry to Shani temples. And there you say that, look, the reason why they shouldn't be allowed is because there are planetary forces and it's not good for women to enter these temples. In the same vein, I just want to tell you a little bit about the law on the point. There are Supreme Court judgments which say that if you make laws which tend to be discriminatory for women, it cannot be a justification that we are doing it for their benefit. That cannot be the justification for any law that discriminates against women. This is the law of the land. In that same vein, would you say that if that is the law of the land and you're committed to the ideals of law, then one, how do you justify that?
Yes.
And two, one more question, sir.
Let me say…
So just a follow-up question. The second part of the question is, in the same article, you also mentioned that we can control the impact of planetary forces on our life through inner engineering. What is inner engineering? Is it a program that Isha Foundation hands out?
What is?
What exactly is inner engineering? Is it something that you guys do, and like only if you guys can tell us what is inner engineering, only then will we be able to face the forces of planetary forces? What exactly is this concept of inner engineering?
Okay. We'll answer that. So right now…
From the onset only, I can see that the intention of the question is not to actually ask a question. Like, the question hasn't come from a place of genuine curiosity. It is just to like show him off, like do one over him. Because first he made remarks about his e-commerce website, hinting that your work is for a commercial purpose. Secondly, he's saying this particular program, only you can do. Like, you have the exclusivity to this, and I have to come to you. Then only I can know about this inner engineering course. So basically, he's trying to make a innuendo towards the fact that the work Sadhguru does is for commercial purposes to gain profit. Well, I don't see any problem with that, but let's see what he says.
Why don't you ask this institution, Nalsar, only if you tell us what is law, we will know what's the law? What is it?
I'm sorry, sir, could you clarify that? I didn't get what you just said. Like,
No. You tell your institution in which you are, only if you trap us here for 5 years and tell us what is the law, will we understand what is the law? Don't we know? Well, only because you do not know, you have come here, right, to learn. Similarly, only because people could not figure it out by themselves, they have come. And only because it's working for them, they're coming in millions. Okay, you have 700 people here, we have 9 million volunteers working across the world. So, It must be working for them. So do not make…
I kind of feel that there are two sections of students. Uh, the ones sitting on Sadhguru's left, I think, are like cheering for him, and the ones sitting on his right are like kind of on the student side. So there is already a division here.
these judgments, and don't think it's very smart to simply make judgments for everything. You are a lawyer, you are not a judge, all right? So let's come to the question. Let's come to the question. See, please don't do these things. It is happening from both segments of people. What you like, boo, you shout and clap. Please don't do that.
He noticed it too, I guess.
For or against, that's not the way. The way to do this is, are we interested in knowing and enhancing? You ask a question as a way to enhance your knowing, not just to prove that you're smart. If you think you can prove you're smart, we will do something else to that. Anyway, you ask this question, I like the e-commerce, I know when you started off, I know when Joe is called, why he is called, we know what it is, I'm not that dumb, okay? When I sit here, when I just look at you,
Also, one more thing I noticed, when he started off his question, he addressed him by his like real or previous name, not Sadhguru. So by that address itself, one can know like where this is gonna go.
I know what you can ask, I will tell you. Let me tell you this, hello. When I trained teachers to handle engineering programs, now we have transformed the program in a different way, but at one time when it was very intense, I trained the teachers like this. Somebody walks into the hall, they settle down here today by themselves without being guided. You just see, I made a chart of the hall and said, see, if they sit here, if they sit here, if they sit here, this is the question they will ask. You just be ready. When he raises his question, you know this is what he will ask. 93 to 94% of the time, it's always right like that. People think they are free and they're asking questions, but if they sit in that place, that's a question they will ask. In any venue, not in any particular venue, just anywhere. This may not look logical to you, but life happens like that anyway. So now when you start praising…
It is possible that there is certain psychology behind it, because the people who are likely to choose to sit at a particular place are also likely to think in a certain way. So maybe that is like a deduction in a psychological aspect by him.
In the e-commerce, I know why it is, it's not that you're appreciating it. I'm telling you, Isha Foundation is a foundation run by the volunteers. Over 4,600 full-time volunteers who are far more educated than you are, and over 9 million part-time volunteers across the world, giving their time and money and energy to make this happen. Why are people doing this? We're not promising them we'll take you to heaven. We're not telling you you will go and sit in God's lap. Why are they doing it? It must be done wonders to them, otherwise why will they invest their life in it? So without knowing anything, don't make conclusions. So are you the only one? Well, you can do it in so many other ways. If you knew how to figure it out, why would I be needed? You do not know how to figure it out, so somebody comes and helps. If somebody comes and helps, why are you helping people?
Also, if you do know, then you can just like let other people follow it who don't. Like you don't have to make judgments about it.
You leave them with their problems, they'll be good business for a lawyer. Is that what you're talking to me? Please don't feed upon people's problems. People have problems. If you have a solution, it's good. If you don't have a solution, at least leave them alone. Now, about commerce, we have every day in the yoga center, the minimum meal is around 7,000 per meal. On the weekends, it's 15 to 20,000. Whoever comes, nobody inquires, who are you, why are you eating here? Whoever comes, they're welcomed and they're fed, all right? And we are running 12 schools in remotest parts of India, which is the same level of education that one would get in a good urban school, and 40% of the children are first generation going to school. Over 9,000 children are sponsored fully for their entire education. And we have medical activity going on across Tamil Nadu in a big way. There are many other aspects which I don't want to go on listing. For all this to happen, it needs a certain financial thing. Now if I come to you with a begging bowl, you will say, why have you come to me with a begging bowl? If I earn my own money, you are saying, why are you earning your own money? What is the problem here? What is the problem? Only thing is, I have not come to you as a client, is that the only problem you have? I want you to know, the people who are working in the foundation, most of them, some of them are here, they're doctors, engineers, accountants. They have quit top, high-paying jobs in their life and they're serving for free, all right? Thousands of them. And you have something against them, please. It's not about me because I don't do all that work. People are doing all that work, including the website and the commerce.
So just for the diversity of opinion, so that, I mean, as a moderator, I have to ask people from…
Oh, women's rights, yes. About Shani Shignapur. See, first of all, you have a misunderstanding that Indian temple is a place of prayer. Indian temple is not a place of prayer. I want you to know this. Different temples were built in different ways for specific purposes. Shani temple is built for occult purposes. Occult means, you know what's occult? What is the Telugu word for occult? What? What is that? What people call as black magic or whatever, you know? There are certain occult practices where if the occult practices are being done, women in state of pregnancy, in menstrual cycles, it could seriously impact their life. So they said women should not go. It was also designed that on a certain day, if the woman is in a certain condition, on a full moon day she can go, other days… These are prescriptions, these are not restrictions. These are prescriptions, these are not discriminations. These are done with a specific intent. Or, now that you're talking about women's rights, why don't you fight for the men's rights? In our temple, the Bhairavi temple that we have, men are not allowed inside the sanctum. Why don't you stand up and fight for that? I will tell you why they're not allowed. That temple is only for the women. Men are not allowed. Why? Is it a discrimination? It is not about discrimination, it is a certain dimension of life. If you go by this crude sense of equality, you will harm the woman immensely. There are millions of temples open to everybody. Suddenly, why discrimination will come in one temple? What are you talking about? This is not a culture which discriminated against women. There are more female deities in this country than male deities. Every village you go, there is an Amman temple, there is a Devi temple. And you think it's discrimination?
Before moving on,
These are…
He talked about this crude sense of equality. What I feel is that this idea is kind of taken from Western secularism, in which there is a clear cut separation of church and state. And this is also like being applied here, but what we have to keep in mind is Indian secularism is a dharma nirpeksh secularism, it's not dharmaheen secularism. So what I mean by that is the state will not tell you how to do your practices. So let's keep that aside for a moment and just think of it in a way of science versus religion. So the state says that we follow like we don't follow any religion, and then there is like scientific advancements being made. So if you look at a religion with the lens of science, then of course it won't make sense to you. But since the law allows this practice of religion, they are like free to do so. So there is that. Also, I think it's a little bit unfair to compare religion with science, because religion is largely faith and that is not science. But since they're allowed to follow their religion, you cannot tell them that you have to follow the scientific logic in your religion, because you will not tolerate the same if it happened with you in science. You will not tolerate religious logic in science advancements or science discoveries. So just to keep them both different in your mind is like the way forward, I feel.
are very rudimentary ideas picked up from the West. You have not seen this culture, you have not understood the profoundness with which is run. Unfortunately, because of 15, 20 generations of poverty, we've kind of mixed it up and made a mess out of it. That is a different matter.
So before I move on to another person, and he'll probably be the last person, before I move on to you, are the people there done with that particular question, or is there any further question on that particular issue? I mean, for diversity of opinion, I need to choose somebody from here. So I mean, unless you don't have a further point on the same issue, I'll proceed. So, could somebody please give him the mic?
Namaskaram, Sadhguru.
So yeah, so if Job has a follow-up, then please proceed.
So this
I can't help it. I mean, if he's not satisfied with the same issue, he should be.
So
All right.
this crude sense of knowledge that you're talking about is the knowledge that's coming from the Supreme Court of the country.
Who is speaking? Huh?
So this crude sense of knowledge that you say is
Arey.
the knowledge that's coming from the Supreme Court of the country.
No, please
You
understand.
are
No, please
you are,
listen to me.
Sir, you're still not addressing the point that who are you?
He said crude sense of knowledge, but that's not what Sadhguru said. Sadhguru said crude sense of equality between men and women. There is a difference.
You and I sitting here to make prescriptions for women and say that this is harmful for you, hence don't do it, or this is not harmful and you shouldn't do it. It's not up for you and I to do it. If it's harmful and they still want to do it, they are free to do it, right? I mean, you say that what people want to do in their bedroom, it's an individual choice. If women want to enter it, they want to enter it. Who are us to stop it?
You asked.
Okay, let's address this issue. Okay, so he said that who are you and I sitting here making prescription for other people? By you and I assume that he means the community, not just men. Okay, so a community as a whole has no right to make any kind of decision for a certain group of people. That reasoning may seem logical at first, at a bird's eye view, but if you break it down a little bit, then okay, let me give you an example. There are traffic rules which are for like the benefit of everyone. There are also rules which benefit only that individual. For example, wearing helmets. There is like a strict rule that you have to wear helmet. But what if I don't? What if I don't? Do I harm anybody else? No, I'm only harming myself. So why am I not free to do so? So that logic does not apply in this case. So I'm not saying that the situations are completely equal. I'm just saying that there are instances where the community as a whole comes up with rules to tell individuals that do this, otherwise it will not be good for you. Let's take another example, which is like specific to women, which is the debate of pro-choice, pro-life in America. Now, a lot of arguments which are similar to these come up that a woman should be allowed to do whatever she wants with her body. Like these are pro-choice arguments. So is it that simple? At first glance, it would appear logical like this argument, but if we like delve a little deeper into it, we will see that the same is not equal for men. If a man earns some money and he says, okay, this is all my money, why should I give it to you? I will spend it all on myself. No, he can't do that. It's not logical, it's not moral, because he has a certain responsibility with a family unit, with the community. Similarly, a woman who is the only biological capable being of producing children cannot be like, this is my body, I will do whatever I please. She also has a certain responsibility. So with equality comes equal responsibility as well. So this argument may appear like logical at first, but it has so many flaws that I just like pointed out.
Ask a question, please. You please ask a question. I'm not that dumb that a question needs to be explained to me. You ask a question.
You didn't answer it the first
I'm feeling uncomfortable sitting here listening to this. I can't imagine what might have happened with the people who were actually there.
time, hence I'm explaining.
Okay,
Job,
you asked a question
so-
again, let me answer this, right? The question is, who are you to tell the ladies whether they should go to this or not.
No, I'm saying they should have the option. I'm saying they should have the
Alright.
option.
So, I mean,
got
just
it.
to give a similar example, sir, alcohol
I got
might
it.
be. Oh, sorry.
I got it. There are hundreds of temples in the country where men cannot enter. So if men say…
There's a history of discrimination
that is a different matter. See, you're mixing up two things.
It's
There
not
is
the same.
unfortunate history of discrimination on all levels. That's a different matter. That has to be settled in a different way. But when a specific aspect comes, if you want to rule out all the subtler aspects of life and just say this is it… Anyway, let me tell you this. This I'm on camera, let me tell you this, okay? Supreme Court is there to interpret the Constitution. It cannot create a new Constitution. Doesn't matter what are the powers of the court. It cannot create a new Constitution. It is only there to interpret the law the way it is. Am I right? You're all lawyers? Hello?
That's debatable. That's debatable.
When
That's
you
debatable.
debate that, there is going to be lots of problems because…
I don't think it's debatable. Like, even in the Shah Banu case, Supreme Court said that the law as it exists in the case of Muslim women getting alimony, it is discriminatory, it's injustice. But the court itself cannot bring up legislation, right? The court directed the government that, okay, this is discriminatory, you come up with a legislation that will regulate all of these practices. Well, Congress overturned the Supreme Court verdict and they brought up like a legislation which was completely different, but that is a different matter. But the point is, Supreme Court cannot create legislation, right? The parliament exists for that.
Because every pressure point, people will apply. Every motivated group will push for their own laws. If you create enough ruckus, some new law will happen. This should not happen. It is essentially within the framework of the Constitution, everything should happen. In the framework of the Constitution, there are laws where there are public places and there are private temples and private places of worship. How it should be done there is left to them. It is for them to decide how it happens. Is it happening simply because of a discrimination against a gender? If it is so, it must be struck down absolutely. But if there are other aspects to it, if you think you cannot consider anything else, then it's ridiculous. It becomes ridiculous. It's like saying, don't I have the right to enter the ladies' toilet? What nonsense is this? Do you need a law? You just need sense that you don't go there.
Job, is your question answered? Like, or should
No,
I?
it's not answered, but that's
Then-
okay.
It's not answered. Shall we answer, Mr. Joe?
Okay, so.
I'm okay.
There's a difference between a man not allowed to enter a woman's toilet and you using the same
See,
analogy.
I'm not saying he's not allowed. A
No.
man who is a man will not enter. That's all I said.
So that's a really
I think
stupid
we
analogy
can give
that
it-
you're
we can
saying.
give-
So we are discussing the question of women's entry to temple,
So
and you're
just one
saying the
second,
reason why
I'm
they're
sorry to
not
stop you.
allowed. One
Yes,
second,
sir.
Super.
I'm
Please,
sorry, so
sir.
you can continue with your
The
question.
problem, sir, Mr. Joe, you do not know the culture of this nation. You're talking simply activism
Yeah,
without
because-
knowing the
because I'm
culture of
Catholic,
this
right?
nation. Because in this country, in this culture,
Wow, he pulled the religion card. Oh my god.
the idea of discrimination never arose. I want you to understand, even before other countries ever thought of even giving franchise to the woman, this country did not even debate whether women should have voting rights or not. It's simply there because in our culture we never thought so. So the discrimination, exploitation is there. I want you to understand, there is exploitation, there is no necessary discrimination. Exploitation is not just of the woman. Anybody who is weaker than you, people are exploiting, whether it's a man, woman or child. Why do you think everybody is beating the children? Just simply because they're small, not because they have a right to do it. So anything which is weaker than them, they're exploiting, not just women. Unfortunately, women have also been taken a much amount of beating in terms of exploitation. But do not misunderstand exploitation and discrimination in a fundamental way. Discrimination is a different aspect, exploitation is a different aspect.
I think, Job, we can agree to disagree here and let's move on. There's one last question we'll be picking up.
All right, that was very uncomfortable to watch. I feel like there has been a lack of nuances when it comes to this discussion. Uh, every political discussion, it is always bipartisan. Like, I'm on this side, you're on that side. We cannot meet in the middle. Also, I kind of feel like my analysis of this would be psychological, because I don't know what, I don't think I can debate on technicality and the law, because I'm not an expert on it, but I can debate on morality and psychology, because that is the basis of even the laws. So here I feel that his question did not come from a place of genuine curiosity. He just wanted to show him off. Okay, okay, like, you are a bigot. You don't understand feminism. Your views are very prehistoric, ancient. And then he pulled out the religion card at the end, because the implication was, if you're not a Hindu, you don't know the culture of this country. So I feel that this is all very juvenile on his part. Also, I feel that this type of discourse kind of creates an environment where even the people who have genuine questions get thrown to the side, because it always feels like the question is coming from a place of moral superiority or something. I feel like all of these ideas are being imported from the West as it is, and are not being modified based on our culture. So when these two things clash, there is a like gap. There needs to be a bridge in which some of the ideas from the West are imported, and they are like converted into our Indic version. So then only we can match up to that. Because if this crude sense of feminism and equality is imported from the West as it is, where the culture is already from the book, which is like Catholic, like he said, but and the culture in our country is much more diverse. So, like, just in Hinduism, if you take, uh, certain practices are being followed in South, which are not being followed in North, and they are both from the same religion. But if we go in the West, that is not the case, right? Every tradition is being followed. Like, if you're a Christian, you follow the same tradition throughout. I may be wrong on this, but like, more or less it is the same. So I think this kind of barrier creates this problem. And the second thing is, like I pointed out earlier, these questions are not coming from a place of genuine curiosity. They are just coming from a place of misguided perceived superiority. Okay, that's it for this video. I was very uncomfortable with this, with watching all of this debate. I hope you stay healthy, happy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.